This is the next evolution of hybrid technology. In today's episode, we are going to take a closer look at one manufacturer's unique approach to hybrid technology, and we are going to take a dive into plug-in hybrids. Plus, we're going to have a look at the market and see whether this is the right time to invest in a hybrid vehicle. It's all coming up today in Hybrid Horizons. This is the Nissan X-Trail TIL, the highest spec available in Nissan's medium SUV range. And this car here is the e-Power, Nissan's premium hybrid car. This car comes with Nissan's extensive ProPilot safety technology. It also has a 12.3-inch infotainment display with wireless Apple CarPlay built in, a built-in head-up display, a 10-speaker Bose sound system, tri-zone climate control, and an intelligent rear-view mirror. And that is just the technology. Once you've stepped inside the car, passengers can enjoy these quilted Napa leather seats, a panoramic sunroof, and built-in sunshades in the rear, which any parent will tell you is great when you've got little ones in the back. In the e-Power, you get to experience Nissan's pioneering hybrid technology, which promises instantaneous power and a very quiet drive, similar to driving an EV. And of course, then there is fuel efficiency. Nissan claims a fuel consumption of just 6.1 litres per 100 kilometres, which is very impressive for a car of this size and weight. As we've seen, Nissan's e-Power system is a defining piece of technology for the hybrid car space. But how does the Japanese manufacturer see this innovative piece of technology progressing for them? I spoke to Nissan's Vice President of Product and Services Planning, Cleona Lyons, to find out more. Clea, thank you so much for joining us. Nissan's e-Power system combines the best of both worlds. Could you explain just how the technology works?
Hi, Jess. Yes, thank you. I'm so happy to be here today. Nissan's e-Power is really a unique system, which is why we call it hybrid reinvented. In a traditional hybrid engine, you have both the engine and the electric motor driving the wheels. But in Nissan's e-Power system, the wheels are 100% driven by the electric motors. What that means is that the customer always feels the EV drive experience. So it's seamless, quiet, smooth, very quick acceleration. You don't get any of the lag that you might experience with a more traditional hybrid system. In fact, in our reinvented hybrid, our Nissan e-Power system, you really have all of the benefits of lower fuel consumption, lower emissions, without any of the driving compromise.
How does e-Power fit into Nissan's sustainability practices for the future?
Well, Nissan's e-Power technology really fits perfectly into our sustainability practices. It's what we see as hybrid reinvented. It allows customers to enjoy the benefit of an EV drive, all of the benefits that come with it in terms of linear acceleration, smoothness, quietness, responsiveness. But we know that some customers aren't quite ready to make the jump to full EV yet. So that's where Nissan's e-Power system comes in perfectly. Our customers can enjoy the benefits without having the need to recharge.
Another one of Nissan's vehicles, the Leaf, held the record for best-selling plug-in electric car. How does the e-Power system fit alongside the manufacturer's established electric department?
That's a great question. It fits perfectly. Nissan's e-Power technology fits perfectly beside our EV technology. In fact, we've leveraged a lot of the insights and experience we have from our electric vehicle technology. Nissan's e-Power is really a bridge technology towards EV. For those customers that aren't quite ready to make the jump to EV driving, and when we were engineering it, we've used a lot of the same technology in terms of our electric motors. So we've really been able to use all of those years of market experience and put them to benefit our e-Power technology.
E-Power is a different way of approaching the hybrid space. So what benefits does the E-Power drivetrain have over conventional hybrid vehicles?
Well, that's a great question, and we're really, really proud of the benefits it has. Nissan's e-Power system is unique, which is why we call it hybrid reinvented. It has a number of benefits over a traditional hybrid system. The first thing I'll say is that it's fun to drive. It's really fun to drive. And the reason for that is because it's 100% driven by the electric motor. So driving it, you feel like you're driving an EV without any of the inconveniences or any of the need to charge the car. What that means is you have responsive drive, linear acceleration. There's nothing like a turbo lag because the engine is never driving the wheels.
Are we seeing a shift in buyer demand towards hybrids? So have you noticed more interest from consumers who may have previously only considered petrol cars in the past?
Oh, we are absolutely seeing a shift from customers towards hybrids. We're seeing it globally, and we're also seeing it specifically in Australia. You know, our Australian customers have been enjoying X-Trail with e-Power technology for some time now. And more recently, we've introduced Nissan's Qashqai with e-Power technology, and both of those models are seeing great demand. It's really a stepping stone technology, so it makes perfect sense for the Australian customer. Now, that demand is also global, where we're seeing all across the world a growing consciousness about wanting cars that have reduced fuel economy, reduced emissions. And what's unique about Nissan's e-Power technology is that it gives you all of that, but it's also incredibly fun to drive.
So looking ahead then, where do you see Nissan's hybrid lineup in the next 5 to 10 years?
Nissan's lineup in Australia we've got some exciting news to come. We're going to start with the introduction of the Nissan Ariya, which of course is a full EV, and that's coming to Australia in the latter half of 2025. So only a few more months to come. And we do have some very exciting news for Australia coming in the next few years. Lots of plans. But if you'll allow me, Jess, I'm going to keep some of those for myself and hopefully come back at a future date to give you more information.
Okay, very mysterious. Thank you so much, Clee. We really appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Looking for the perfect car? Explore Drive Newsed, new and quality used cars for sale, available now to drive away today. Only at drive.com.au. Hybrid technology comes in many different forms, but the Nissan e-Power is said to be very different.
Yep.
James, what are we looking at here?
Look, I think this is the engine of the Nissan e-Power, and I thought I'd show you and everyone that there's no crystals and lightning bolts and wormholes and special kind of woo under here. This is just a petrol engine. It's a small one. It's a 1.5 litre turbocharged 3-cylinder petrol, and it is essentially a generator. And basically, and if you watch your fingers, the X-Trail is an electric car with an onboard generator, and this is the best way to think about it. You are always driving the X-Trail as an electric car with its electric motors. The petrol engine here is just charging the battery. So in a way, it's like having your little portable generator tacked onto the back of a full EV to drive around. So in a way, you are getting all the benefits of driving an electric car. It's smooth, it's quiet, but the petrol engine, when it kicks in, will keep that battery charged. Now, that is very different to everything else. Everything else runs the car from the petrol engine and then uses the electrification to supplement that. So Nissan flipped it on its head. You can get it in the X-Trail, you can get it in a Qashqai, but it's a different way of thinking about it. The efficiency gains are about the same. You will halve your fuel consumption around town, but on a longer drive, it's roughly the same as what you'll get out of a petrol X-Trail. But it shows that there's so many, I guess, ways of understanding the electrification solution that there are different ways to go about it. So the e-Power way, definitely different to what you'll find in a traditional Toyota hybrid or something like that, but it gives you the same results and can kind of be a slightly different driving experience as well.
Okay, so essentially, if you're driving a Nissan e-Power, whether it's a Qashqai or an X-Trail, you're kind of getting more like that EV driving experience.
Yeah.
But ultimately, there's nothing to be scared of under the bonnet.
No, and that's the thing. That engine there never powers the way the car drives. You are always driving as an electric car, but it's just keeping that battery charged. So again, you don't need to think about it. You fill it up with petrol to power the generator. You just get a little bit more electric driving experience than you may get in a traditional series hybrid, but it's the same level of ease.
And more efficient fuel savings, right?
Absolutely.
Fabulous. Thank you, James. Today, we are joined by Lee Mason, General Manager of Marketplace at drive.com.au, who's going to talk to us about consumer habits, dealer trends, and the market. Lee, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jess. It's great to be here.
Do hybrids still offer strong resale value, Lee?
Yes, I think with the demand of hybrids and obviously the growing, as we've spoken about, the growing year-on-year trends, for dealers in their pre-owned departments to trade in a hybrid car, it's quite attractive for their dealerships now, and the brands that are bringing those models to market are very strong brands and looking to capitalise on the growth.
So with increasing competition from EV models, are dealers finding it as easy to shift hybrid models now as they were a few years ago, or is it becoming harder?
Look, I think they're finding it easier because the consumers really leading the conversation. It's the consumers coming in and looking for a hybrid model, makes it much easier for the dealer that's looking to sell that vehicle. But equally, the dealerships responding to the different types of vehicles that are out there now and giving consumers really valuable information around buying choices is helping in that process too.
Are dealers seeing a shift in consumer expectations around fuel efficiency?
Yes, I think with the growing costs of fuel, clearly consumers are looking at more efficient models and looking at their lifestyle. What do I require? What do I need? How far am I going to be looking to drive? And what's that cost of ownership? So I think the trend with the consumer market, it's now not only the car that they're looking to purchase, but that cost of ownership journey as well, which is really important. So what is the servicing of the vehicle? Does it come with a 5-year service plan? Does it come with extended warranty? Which are really important factors for buyers when they think about buying a car now and having it for the next 5 years as they go through that process.
So do you think that's changed the way dealers market hybrid vehicles as they're starting to understand that's the consumer mindset?
Yeah, I think both dealers and brands are doing a much better job at selling the life cycle of the car. We've seen MG move to a 10-year warranty. We've seen Nissan just recently move to a 10-year warranty. Obviously, Mitsubishi's had that for some time. So we've seen brands adopt to that. And at the dealership as well, there's extended warranty opportunities for consumers, not only on brand new cars, but also on pre-owned cars. And at Drive, we've also introduced a new category called Drive Used, which enables easy car shopping. So people that are looking for a car under warranty, they can easily search for it and find in our marketplace.
And with the ramping up of EV production from manufacturers, do you think that means that hybrids are going to start being phased out, or do you think they are a permanent part of the lineup now?
Look, I think in the short to mid-term, they're a permanent part of the lineup. Don't want to get too topical here or political, but as I said earlier, the EV emissions targets are aggressive. Talking with a number of dealerships and also with a number of brands, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out in the coming months and years. But what I would say is I think there'll be a market of multiple fuel types. The distances that you have to cover across Australia is unlike some other global markets. And Australians, we love a good old road trip. We love getting in our cars, getting the kids in the car and driving off for a long weekend. There's still a lot of anxiety about range and the infrastructure in Australia. So it'll just be interesting to see how that plays out over the coming years.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Lee. That was very insightful. So thank you so much for joining us and educating me a bit more.
Thank you, Jess. Great to be here.
Looking for the perfect car? Explore Drive Used, new and quality used cars for sale, available now to drive away today. Only at drive.com.au. Okay, so we hear a lot about hybrids and we hear a lot about EVs, but there's more of a hazy area in the middle, and that is plug-in hybrids. So James, here's my very rudimentary explanation. Essentially, a plug-in hybrid is a great option because it does have a pure EV engine that you can do shorter journeys with, but then you've got the petrol engine as backup for those longer drives.
Absolutely, is the kind of summary here.
Cool.
A best of both worlds solution is a good way to look at it.
But I know there is more to it. And the readers of drive.com.au have sent in some questions, if you don't mind me asking.
No.
That are all plug-in hybrid or PHEV related.
Yes.
Okay, let's get started. How exactly does a PHEV work and what makes it different from a regular hybrid?
Okay, well, this is a really easy one. You've basically got a bigger battery. So we've got the GWM Haval H6 GT here and the Mitsubishi Outlander here. Both are plug-in hybrids. And you've got the ability then, with a larger battery, to travel further under full electric power. They still have a petrol engine under the bonnet, but the Outlander, for example, is able to travel up to 80 kilometres full electric. And that means if you're doing a 5-kilometre trip to work and a 5-kilometre trip home, you barely need to use that petrol engine. You can keep this thing running basically all week. But ideally, a plug-in hybrid needs to be plugged in to get them to get the real maximum benefit from it. And I think that's the key, and you've got yourself a best of both worlds solution.
But if you're plugging in overnight, for example, if you have access to a charger in your garage or what have you, you wouldn't even notice, right?
No, and you don't need a special charger. You can just use a wall plug because they're not as big. The batteries are bigger than a series hybrid, but they're not as big as a full electric car. So these will charge completely back to where they need to be, their maximum charge overnight. Nice and easy. It just means every day you've got the ability to drive using that electric power and only use the petrol engine when you need it, which again means you've got long range capability and you don't need to be tied down by charging infrastructure. And that's kind of the convenience key.
Many people assume PHEVs are just a stepping stone to full EVs. Do you think they have a long-term place in the market?
Look, absolutely, and particularly here in Australia, because we have significant distances to cover. What it means is that you don't need to be really tied to a pure electric vehicle charging network. You can fill this car up with petrol. You can tell the car to use the petrol engine as a generator to recharge the battery while you drive. So you've got that infinite flexibility, which in our country kind of makes a lot of sense. But if you do need to go further or you do need to do more things, you can go and do what you need to do without stressing. You don't need to look on the map. You don't need to work out where a charging station is. You don't need to arrive at a charging station and to see a queue of people there. You can use the benefit of the hybrid system to keep going. And I think for our market, this works particularly well.
Looking for the perfect car?
Explore Drive Newsed, new and quality used cars for sale, available now to drive away today. Only at drive.com.au.
What are some of the biggest misconceptions about PHEVs and what should buyers really know?
Look, the key is if you don't plug it in, and we keep saying it's in the name, plug in. If you don't, and you're running a long way, what you find is that the petrol engine is generally a smaller capacity or a smaller engine than what you'd find in a pure petrol version of the same car. Plus that battery is quite heavy, so you've got a smaller engine carting around a lot more weight, which makes the whole system less efficient. Now, that's okay if you're on a long distance tour and you just simply can't charge your battery. You can do it next time you stop. But if you're regularly driving a plug-in hybrid and not plugging it in, you won't end up with the efficiency gains that you need. And I think, like, again, it's in the name, plug it in. Initially, you would have a plug-in hybrid maybe had 20 kilometres range. It really wasn't that practical for a lot of people, but now with sort of 80 and 180, these solve problems. So I think you've got the technology moving now to the point where it is answering the question of the prospective buyer already.
So cars like this are really sort of kicking that idea of range anxiety out.
100%, and even range usefulness. So the fact that this could last you all week in full electric, and then you can basically race everybody off from the traffic lights on the weekend because you've got 321 kilowatts to play with.
Great. Looking ahead then, how do you see PHEVs evolving, and will manufacturers continue to invest in them?
Look, I think plug-in hybrids, and we're seeing this a lot on the global scale, they are a viable solution for a lot of buyers. And even the rush to full electrification for everything has sort of slowed down as science and the current technology has shown we're not there yet. We can't answer every need for every scenario in every country right now. But more development into the battery technology, into more efficient petrol engines, and combining those, particularly, like I said, with utes or maybe off-roaders and other formats that we're not really seeing yet, there could be even greater scope for plug-in hybrids as we move forward. And you know, like we've sort of discussed, the way forward really is some form of electrification for pretty much every car. Now, not everyone can plug a car in, so a plug-in hybrid doesn't suit all buyers. But the combination of series hybrid, plug-in hybrid and full electric vehicles is definitely where we'll see things go.
Well, thank you, James. I feel like you've really taken the mystery away from plug-in hybrids.
Thanks.
And they sound like a good stepping stone option for those that are just dipping their toe in the EV waters.
That's the thing. They don't suit everyone, but have a look. If they do work for you and you can plug them in, the sky's the limit.
Perfect. Well, we certainly packed a lot in over those last few episodes. Everything from the history of hybrid cars, current technology, future innovations, and of course, we spoke to industry experts. So, is a hybrid car right for you? Well, only you can decide that, but hopefully we've armed you with the information you need when you're doing your research and making a decision. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Remember to stay safe on the roads, and we'll see you next time. Looking for the perfect car?
Welcome to an all-new way to shop for your next car. Visit Drive News and find thousands of brand new demonstrator and high-quality used cars available from Drive's nationwide dealer network and ready to drive away today. So for new and quality used cars, discover Newsed, only at drive.com.au.